On this particular tour, we were graced with the presence of Anicia Batiste, founder and head of the newly formed Democratic Republican Party and Friends, other local visitors, and a few from the UK. Throughout the tour, the group showed interest in the development of the airport and in what was being said to them. It was also an excited one, as persons sought clarifications and confirmations in some instances, and also expressed satisfaction with what is happening at the site. Our first stop on the tour was in a strategic area where our guests were able to get a good view of the airside or the front of the terminal building.
We call this the airside because when you're coming in over the ocean and you're going to land, this is what you see first. So this is the front of the building. We have 3 floors. So we have the very ground floor. If you're in America, you will not call that the first floor, you call that the ground floor. But here we refer to the ground floor as the first floor. So we got 3 floors. So we have the ground floor there, the second floor, which you will see a lot better when we get behind it. And then the very top, we have a mezzanine floor. Okay. On this side of the building, we have our domestic terminal. By domestic, all the traffic going to the Grenadines and coming from the Grenadines would utilize this side of the building. Everything else from Liat going up will use the international terminal, which is all of that rest of the building going that way. Okay, so these are your boarding gates that you're looking at here, and areas for conveyor belts where your luggage would come out to go to the plane. Okay, so that's all on the ground floor. And on the second floor, mainly where you see those blue glass windows, around that area is our departure lounge. And up there you will find duty-free shopping, concession stands, food court. So you get restaurants and all of those things on that floor. And further down this side where you see the white, mainly offices for airport staff and security personnel, etc. And the very top, the mezzanine floor, we have space. We're really just providing space up there. We are trying to see if we can get lease agreements with different airlines, resorts like Bukamar, to lease them so that they can do their own VIP for their clients when they come in. So that if those work out, they would organize the space to their own specification. There is also space up there for a restaurant if somebody wants to do a restaurant up there.
From here, it was into the first kilometer of the site where they were given a brief history of where we came from to where we are today with the airport's construction.
But in 2008, August, when we started, this is where we started first, in the first kilometer. Because 65% of the earthworks that we had to do was in this area. And more than 4 years later, we are still in this area. Why? If you remember, we had 2 mountains over there. Fort Hill on this side and Makaniami Hill on this side. There was never a gap between there. It was all mountains. So in addition to removing topsoil, removing trees and shrubs and filling back up with good soil, we had to get rid of the mountains over there. So now basically we have some rocks. The mountains are virtually gone. And we have all of this space in the middle. We are still trying to remove a bit more of the rock face in front here so we get all the space that we need. Okay, so you see work is still going on, and basically the work that is going on in this side is excavation of rocks. But we are at runway level right here, also in the second kilometer. So we are at runway level. So we're basically concentrating on out there to remove the rock face there, and when all of that is done, we will start on a road that is supposed to be going across the perimeter of the runway behind there, connecting you to Warraku, bring you up to Mount Pleasant, connecting you to this road that we are developing here, and it will drop you back to where the old bridge used to be, wrong there. If you follow the green patch straight across, if you walk it, you're going to end up in the ocean. And it is that area that we have to do the land reclamation. We have our sea defense designs and everything ready to go, but the stones we need for that are still standing there on that petroglyph hill. The petroglyphs are still there. And until we safely relocate the petroglyphs, we are not really bringing down the rocks. So as soon as we do that, those stones would come down and we would start the sea defense work. That has to be done soon, because we really don't have time to play with.
We also looked at some of the other developments on the project.
If you can remember, we have done a lot of work here. If you remember how the old highway ran, the road used to come across here and hook up back down there to Miss, right? Within a matter of a week, the guys working on this had that road down, right? That was gone completely. And we have since removed a lot of access roads that we have created and have to create new ones. Like every year you got to find a new road so people could continue to go to their homes and the work can continue without disruption. So that's what we have been doing. A little bit more of this hill will come down so that you get a clear view from the runway straight across to the terminal building. So a bit more of this hill will come down. In that space that we have clear there, we have that area earmarked for the construction of a cargo terminal. Now, if you have some money and you're interested in entrepreneurship, we are open to investors for the cargo terminal. So somebody could build it and run the place, you know, and just run with it, right? And adjacent to the cargo terminal, Sol is going to be constructing or putting down their fuel farm. So there will be a fuel farm on the project. Now, our drainage, I know some people are complaining, oh, they don't see the drainage and we ain't have proper drainage, but they can't see it because we construct the drainage so long. If you look over there and you see the greenest patch over there, it looks like a ditch is there, right? We have box culverts stretching from there all the way down and from there all the way up to the inlet up there. But that's already compacted, sealed up and covered, so you won't be able to see that one. We are currently constructing one in this area that will go from here all the way down, make the corner and go down to the sea. And then we have to deal with the spanning of the Yambu River, which will be dealt with later this year. Now, everything takes money. So if you don't have the money, you can't push the work. So that's what is happening. Now that we have heard that the money is coming, we can pick up the pace again and we can have the Yambu River being spanned, at least being started before the end of this year. Okay. Now, the other hold up, we are actually ready for paving in the 2nd kilometer. If we had the asphalt plant and the concrete plant today, we could start in the 2nd kilometer. But that's the hold up. We have to wait to get the money to purchase those plants. So those plants will be coming soon, and once they get here, you will see a lot of work happening in that area.
Just in case you're wondering, it was not a one-way conversation, as persons had questions of their own.
Concerns raised with respect to the readiness or the fitness of the site and where we are here to deal with the wind challenges. What do you have to say?
We hear the concerns every day. I tell people there really isn't a need to be concerned about it because we are doing what needs to be done to ensure that the airport is safe for everybody who's going to fly in here. What has happened, even before we started work on the airport, the wind stations were set up, and basically it's to monitor the wind at Argyle. Now, every airport has crosswinds, some stronger than others. So we have crosswinds, but how strong are they, and are they strong enough to impact small aircraft? We know they want to impact the larger ones, so the problem now is with the small aircraft. What we are doing is gathering the wind data to tell us whether the crosswind out here is strong enough to impact small aircraft. We have 3 stations, one on the northern end of the site, one over at our office, which is a full weather station. It doesn't just measure the wind, it's a full weather station, and we have a wind station over on this side, on the southern end. And the wind data is being collected daily and being analyzed. So far, it is not showing that we would need to build a crosswind runway for smaller planes. But we have to wait until it's finished, fully finished, to make that determination. Once that is made, if we have to put in a crosswind runway, it will go in because it has been budgeted for and planned. So it will go in. If we don't need it, then better for us, less money to spend. We don't need it.
We've been hearing that they're going to finish in 2014. Are we still there?
We ain't there yet, but we get in there, right? That's the plan. And if you don't have an objective, there's nothing to work to, right? So that's what we're working to 2014. Now, originally when we pushed the date back, we were looking to have operations in July of 2014. That's not going to happen because if you notice, we don't have the asphalt and the concrete concrete plans yet, and those will take us down a few months. So rather than operations in July, we are looking to have the work finished in July and have operations later that year. So hopefully by Christmas, we'll be able to fly people in, hopefully. That's the plan. Keep your fingers crossed. I mean, many things could happen to upset the plan, but that is the plan we're working with.
In the meantime, work on the construction of the Argyle International Airport continues on both sides of the site. Some of these works include the excavation of rocks at Makani-Yami Hill and a small area just below Johnson Hill, as well as the compaction of part of the runway in the first kilometer. The excavation of soil on the Catholic Church Hill is also ongoing, with more than half of that hill already down. Work on the drainage system in the second kilometer is ongoing, as well as work on a small drain to the back of the terminal building. Work on the parking lot is also ongoing, and the stone crushing plant continues to crush unabated. At the same time, work continues on the terminal building, which is just over 80% complete. Currently, a lot of work is concentrated on the larger parts of the floor of the terminal building, which include the departure and immigration areas and arrival, which are receiving their final pavement in preparation for tiling. This, while other smaller areas have already been tiled. Alongside this, workers at the terminal building have started work on the ground areas outside the departure, emergency access road, arrival, and domestic terminal areas. If you would like to find out more about the Argyle International Airport, the invitation is yours to visit us tomorrow, July 5th, under the General Post Office in Kingstown, where the ILDC's Communications Unit will continue to reach out to the public. Good night.